Eyes for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatem, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Da is for Deen, Al-Islam, religion with Allah since time began. That is for dhikr, remembering Allah, and rise for the month of Ramadan.
Wakfu! Embracing Wakfu program for oneself or on behalf of the parent is Sadaqat and Sadaqat that we afford the dua, Jannah, bi-iznillah. Key into Wakfu program by bequeathing part of your estate, landed properties and other assets for the sake of Allah. Proceeds or rental fee from this asset shall be judiciously utilized by the tested and trusted Z&S Wakfu Foundation to bring succor to the needy and provision of social amenities and economic empowerment. You can also make a donation of a minimum of 10,000 naira that Z&S Wakfu Foundation will collate to procure assets that are economically viable. No doubt, Wakfu is highly rewarding. Contact Z&S Wakfu Foundation, Suite 12, Tafabalewa Square, Lagos. Call 080-3538-2911. With Wakfu, your asset will earn you Jannah. Be easy in life. Be a partaker.
Eid Saeed, let's enjoy this happy day. Eid Mubarak, come on, let's celebrate. Eid Saeed, let's enjoy this happy day. Eid Mubarak, come on, let's celebrate, celebrate. Let's celebrate. Allah, Allah, thank you for this day.
Began, that is for dhikr, remembering Allah.
Alhamdulillahi wa kafa, wa salatan wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhi istafa, Muhammadin mujtaba, wa ala alihi wa sahabatihi al-ghurat al-mayamin, wa tabi'ina lahum bi'isani ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Viewers and listeners, you are welcome back to your program, our program, Path to Paradise. Today, we are going to look at another important subtopic under Waqfu, which is Arkanul Waqfu. We want to look at the pillars of Waqfu. Without these pillars, there can never be Waqfu. Even if one out of the pillars is omitted, the Waqfu will be deficient. Even if two out of the Waqfu is also missing, we are going to have a very pathetic Waqfu. What are these pillars? They are important, very, very important, without which there can never be an efficient and effective Waqfu. Number one, it is important to know that according to scholars that the pillars of Waqfu are basically four. They are four. So, and these four, they are intertwined. They are, interlocked, interwoven. And one, strengthen the other, and they all work simultaneously so that we can have the desired result. Number one pillar of Waqfu is what is regarded as Waqif. Waqif. That is, the Waqif is the endower, or it is the donor. The person who wants to give out the Waqfu is called Waqif, the endower. This Waqif, it is important that the person must have a legal status. That is, the person is in a position to sue or can be sued. Number two, the person must equally also be of sane mind and body. The person must not be suffering from any form of insanity of mind or body. Number three, it is also important to also know that this Waqif is the owner of the objects he wants to endow, and he has access to that object. It's one thing to be the owner, it's another thing to be denied access. So the two must go together. It must be established that he is the owner of the assets he wants to endow, and there are no encumbrances. Then he also has access to this property or asset he wants to endow. So these are things that we must know under the concept of waqif. Somebody who wants to endow a particular object, for waqf. Having said that, it will take us to the second pillar. And the second pillar is what we call the mawquf. Mawquf wants to put down as an endowment. This object can be movable or immovable assets. When we say movable assets, we are talking of, cash waqf today, or we are talking of, means of transportation, maybe aeroplane or maybe ship. These are movable objects, and then immovable objects are buildings, or farmlands. This object is called mawquf. It must also be established that the waqif is the owner of this object. These objects exist. They are not things that we are just, making projection about, or you are making forecasts that maybe in the next couple of weeks or year, I'm going to get this. No, they are things that must already be in existence, and we can see it, and we can feel it, and we can also testify that it exists. Two, these objects must not have any litigation whatsoever on it, either from within the family members or even in the law court, or even within the community members. There must be no any litigation on it. It must be free from any form of litigation. Then part of the qualities of the object itself is that it must be halal. It must be something that is halal, not haram. It is something that is permissible, that is allowable, that is, pure, and not something that already by its own nature itself, it is haram. So this pillar, second one, is very, very crucial. Then the third pillar is what we call mawqufu alayhi. Mawqufu alayhi. The mawqufu alayhi are the beneficiaries. So in the mind of the waqif, he may decide to say, okay, the beneficiaries, I want them to benefit from this waqif or waqaf are ABC. He must clearly mention them in his deeds. That is, they can either be general people or they can be selected people. So if in the interest of the waqif, he made it specific, then it means it is not everybody that can access the benefits of that waqf. Because we must respect the beneficiaries that the waqif has specifically mentioned. That is why Sharia scholars will tell you that depending on which waqf you want to endow, there are some which are being referred to as khassa, waqful khassa, and some are waqful amma. So if it is waqful khassa, it means these are for selected or specific people. But if it is waqful amma, it is opened, it is general. But it must be mentioned in terms of their classification. For example, if the waqf being endowed is educational waqf, so you say this waqf is for education, whether they are orphans or not, is for education, from primary school to secondary to tertiary, for education. So the proceeds of that waqf cannot be taken to now go and meet the health need of some vulnerable people in the community. No, it must be used for the educational purpose, because that is what the waqif has specified, when he was making that waqf for education. And the same thing applies. If the waqf is for economic and empowerment, of youth and elderly people, then you cannot use the waqf, for health provisions. It must be for the economic empowerment. So these are the way that Waqf works in any community where Waqf is being institutionalized. Then the fourth pillar of Waqf is what we call the Sigatul Waqf. That is the Waqf deed. You know, or some people call it the Waqf charter. It is very important. Without it, forget it. You'll just be dancing around the circle. You'll not be able to break the circle. The Waqf deed, the Siga, are the statements clearly made in the Hujjatul Waqf. The statement must be very, very clear. They should never be ambiguous. Stated very clearly in the simple tense that this Waqf from Mr. A or Mr. B or from Mrs. A or Mrs. B is meant for so and so people and for this category of A and B people. And again, it must also be stated whether it is for general or for specific. If it is, for example, for members of your family, it's stated that this Waqf I'm doing is private Waqf for my members of my family. It means those who are poor members of the family are going to be the beneficiary. Any member of your family that has become self-sustained, that is not among the category of the poor or the needy people, can no longer access that Waqf. It is going to be transferred from that point to general Waqf for the support of the less privileged people or the widows or the orphans or the vulnerables. So these pillars are very crucial that we must always ensure that we respect it. It's just like the pillars of Islam, which are 5. So if you take out one out of them, it is incomplete. It is the same thing with Waqf. Take out any one of the pillar, it is incomplete. So we cannot have effective and efficient Waqf. So at all times, we must have all these 4 pillars intact so that we can have a very functional, efficient and effective Waqf to be managed by a trusted and competent mutawalli. It is important. It is also very important for me to mention very clearly here that, Waqf, in accordance with the Sharia, cannot be institutionalized by a non-Muslim. A non-Muslim cannot do Waqf that is Sharia compliant in order not to create, unnecessary controversy and argument later in the future. Because except the person in the Akudu, in the Sigatul Akudu, agreed to respect the principle of Sharia in total, 100%, then it can be welcomed. That yes, can be welcomed. The person, for example, may say, okay, I have this land, and some people, wants to buy, the masjid, the Muslims have been praying, and is a neighbor in the community, especially maybe the imam is a very good friend, and they are unable to, to access to buy the masjid from the owner. The person, if he has indicated interest because of the imam or because of somebody that he has connection with, say, look, if this is the case, I can buy it, and then you dedicate it and continue to do your worship there. It is welcome. It cannot, that cannot cause any controversy. Because I have had a case of somebody who reported that the imam was a very poor person in his neighborhood. So he was owing his landlord. Apparently, the landlord also, was the one that built the masjid. But when the community could no longer pay the landlord the required rent for the masjid, the landlord put for sale on it. And then the imam now cried out. And then one of his neighbor, who knew him to be a trusted person, to be a very good man, now asked that, okay, are they paying you for being imam in the masjid? He said, no, they are not paying me. So does it mean that, and the imam does not own the masjid? Say, imam doesn't own the masjid belongs to Allah. Then the neighbor now said, okay, go and ask, how much does the man want to sell the mosque? He now told him, this neighbor was not a Muslim, now bought the mosque and told the imam and the congregation to continue their worship, in the masjid. So it is allowed for as long as, there is a written, statement in the Akdu, in the Hujjatul Waqf, Waqf. It is well clearly stated, because that particular property, if we do not document it, it may likely in the future bring about controversies. So from this angle, it is permissible for as long as there is not going to be any interference in the way the masjid and the people that perform worship in the masjid carry out their spiritual duties to their creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is important we all understand these 4 pillars of waqf, so that our waqf can serve and perform the original purpose for which it was established by the waqif. I pray Allah continue to bless us with knowledge and understanding for us to be able to make that will to bring back, to revive this forgotten and neglected Islamic social finance instrument for the benefit of humanity. Until we come your way next time, أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
That is for dhikr, remembering Allah.
Every time you feel
He wants to make Nigeria economy better. She hates injustice and wants to stand for those who cannot stand for themselves. He believes Nigeria refineries can work. He wants to make that change. It takes true character to make a better public service. She wants to make a public servant. But it is not enough to dream. We need to turn dreams into reality, and Start Well Schools is the place to start.
One of the missions of Start Well School is to provide qualitative education with a pristine Islamic teaching that meets this ever-dynamic world. And to the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can beat our chest over it that we have produced those who have these qualities.
When somebody finishes in this school, he is an ambassador of Islam. We will have practiced Islam within us. So by the time he gets out, he's used to the way of life. So we just want Muslims that will represent us Islamically in the global world.
Enroll your child today at Start Well Schools, located at 15/19 Karim Street, Agbede Meeting, Asala Bus Stop, Agric, Ikorodu, Lagos. For more information, please call Start Well Schools. Aspire, acquire, achieve.
Start Well School is the best among equal.
أمي وأبي فديتك سيدي صلاة وسلام عليك يا نبي حبيبي يا محمد أتيت بالسلام والهدى محمد حبيبي يا محمد يا رحمة للعالمين يا محمد.
That is for dhikr, remembering Allah.
Kwara and Niger states, situated in the north-central region of Nigeria, form a dynamic duo with a combined population of over 12 million residents. Their strategic location and rich resources make them a hub of economic activity, fostering growth and development in the region. Nigeria's economy is facing significant challenges, and families are feeling the impact. Many are struggling to afford enough food for 3 meals a day. To cushion the economic hardship in the country, the award-winning Zakat And Sadaqat Foundation, a non-governmental charitable organization, has distributed food items to no fewer than 10,000 fasting Muslims across the 6 geopolitical zones of the Federation.
Month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how?
The distribution exercise tagged Zakat And Sadaqat Foundation Zakat al Fitri program was held in various states in Nigeria.
Ramadan, month of the Quran. I feel it inside.
From Lagos to Oyo, Abuja to Kaduna, Abia to Imo, Oyo to Ondo, Benue to Bayelsa, Kwara to Niger and Enugu State. Different families were screened and selected based on the challenges faced. They converged at a given location to receive food pack and a token of 5,000 naira from Zakat and Sadaqat Foundation in Kwara and Niger states. According to the officer of the foundation in the Kwara and Niger state, each Zakatul Fitri food packs contain rice, beans and gari with a cash token of 5,000 naira.
I'm Engineer Ariyo Bashir Olalekan. I'm the state coordinator for Zakat and Sadaqat Foundation here in Kwara State. What we distributed this afternoon is what is known as Zakatul Fitri, that is being given to indigent Muslims, so that the statement of the Holy Prophet that Eginuhum and Suhal let the Muslims be happy during the festive period of Eid al-Fitr. To realize the reality of this, that is why Zakat and Sadaqat Foundation is giving out material worth of 10,000 and a cash worth of 5,000. The material has to do with rice, the foodstuff, rice, semofita, and gari that worth 10,000 as well as 5,000, so that the Muslim during the festive period they can be happy, the family can be happy, and everybody can be in good harmony with one another, which is one of the objectives that Islam wants to realize when it comes to Eid period, be it Eid al-Fitri or Eid al-Adha. And that's what we are doing today. And today we have disbursed material worth of 10,000 and cash worth of 5,000 to 20 households of Muslims. 20 households of Muslims. That's what we have done today. And we pray to Allah to accept it from each and every one of us as an act of ibadah. Both we, the givers, the Zakat and Sadaqat Foundation, as well as Muslims that has been given to. May Allah accept it from each and every one of us.
I'm the state coordinator, Zakat and Sadaqat Foundation, Niger State. Zakat Tul-Fitri distribution in Niger State was held on Monday, 8 April 2024. During the exercise, rice and token amount of money were given to the beneficiary. Rice was well packaged, and money, a token amount of 5,000 was also added for each of the beneficiary. And the beneficiary cut across widows and those who are indigent, poor and the needy within the domain in our area. During this exercise, 5 beneficiaries were benefited from the exercise. This includes an elderly woman who is a widow, and a divorcee, she's a woman, represented by her son, and 3 other able-bodied husband of the house but are indigent. They were the beneficiary. The beneficiaries were very happy to receive the kind gesture from the foundation, and they send their huge appreciation that the organization will continue to grow from strength to strength. They also appeal that subsequently the organization should also reach out to other people, that the indigent in the community are so many, some of their neighbors, but they were happy that they were among those who were selected.
Some of the beneficiaries could not hide their excitement and relief after receiving the items. They showered prayers on the Zakat And Sadaqat Foundation and their sponsors home and abroad.
Kí ilé àtọ̀nà wọn tí wọ́n náà kí ó má dànù, kí iléeṣẹ́ wọn náà kí ó má jóná o, kí Ọlọ́run kí ó bá wa máa fi ìṣọ́ wọn àti ààbò àti àánú Ọlọ́run kó máa dáàbò ẹ̀bùn wọn. Àwọn kan tán fún wa ní ráìsì, ìṣẹ̀mó, gààrí, ó dẹ̀ tún fún wa ní owó 5,000 naira. Kí Ọlọ́run bá kó bá wa pẹ̀lú wọn, k'Ọlọ́run má dùn wọn ní ládàá. Gbogbo àwọn elétò náà, àwọn tí wọ́n sì ti coordinator náà, Ọlọ́run ní dààmú àwọn náà àti jẹ àti mu tí wọn náà, Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ nira o, àti náà àti náà, Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ nira o.
Gbogbo ìgbà ni wọ́n máa ń dúró tí Ọlọ́run ní padà lẹ́yìn ìlú ní pa wọ́n, òun ní kí Ọlọ́run ti fi dá wọn dára pẹ̀lú òfin Ọlọ́run, wọ́n ṣàlékún àlùbáríkà láwọn tó ń tọ́ wọn jáde láàárín.
Inú mi dùn, Ọlọ́run gbà wọ́n náà nílẹ̀, lọ́wọ́ mi rà wọ́n lẹ̀, wọ́n mọ̀ sí àgbéga àwọn tí wọ́n sì ránṣẹ́ fún wa náà, wọ́n jíṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́ fún ìgbà ńlá dá.
Ọlọ́run ló bá ń dùn wọ́n ní ọ̀rẹ́ kan ṣe fún mi yìí, inú mi dùn púpọ̀, àwọn tí mo tẹ̀lé máa sọ torí jíjẹ ti tò ní ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run náà ni bí ìpèsè wa kàn mí tó bínú mi ṣe ń dùn, Ọlọ́run bá ń dùn wọn náà ní ẹ̀san olóore, Ọlọ́run bá ń san fáwọn náà àtàwọn ọmọ wọn kárakáná mọ̀kánà àlẹ́ àìṣe tó máa wọnú iṣẹ́ wọn.
Láti mọ́sálásí Alhaji Abdulkarim ní Òṣèré, so àwọn Sadaqat Foundation wọ́n jíṣẹ́ fún wa o, àti oúnjẹ àti owó méjèèjì ni a ti gbà lọ́dọ̀ wọn báyìí. Ìṣẹ́ kò mọ̀ ọ́ ká yẹra oúnjẹ yẹn worth 10,000 naira àti káàṣì 5,000 naira. Àdúpẹ́ o, Ọlọ́run jẹ́ tẹ̀lé ojú báyìí lọ. Àṣàdá.
Norenes, inú mi dùn lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ pẹ̀lú tán fún wa pé ká fi ṣe ọdún. Inú mi dùn lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀. Ọlọ́run máa bá tẹ̀ wọ́n síwájú.
With a happy mood and smiles on the faces of these families, Zakat And Sadaqat Foundation appeal to you to pay your zakat to the foundation for it to be judiciously used.
Began, that is for dhikr, remembering Allah.
أمي وأبي فديتك سيدي صلاة وسلام عليك يا نبي حبيبي يا محمد أتيت بالسلام والهدى محمد حبيبي يا محمد يا رحمة للعالمين يا محمد
Began, that is for dhikr, remembering Allah.